welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast, Modern Gaming Edition, Episode 22, May 2019 are the games we're talking about here, and of course, we're having a little delayed release because we also want to talk about E3 a little bit. I'm your host, JD, as usual. No Jay today, he's been very busy at work, but I have a host that I hope can fill in his shoes with grace and knowledge. That is Leo. Why don't you introduce yourself to the masses?
Yeah, so I'm Leo. I don't know if I can live up to that, but I'll do my best. I am from the Nerdom and Other Nonsense anime podcast, where me and my two other co-hosts, Kat and BCom, we pick 8 shows, and then we go over them as close as we can to the airing dates. We're usually about 2 weeks behind, but that's due to, all the fun. One show's behind, so we got to wait on that, or, scheduling issues, and then got to edit and whatnot. But we stay as close as possible. We have a great blast. Kat yells at me a lot, but I deserve it. I definitely edge her on. And BCom really digs, really deep into stuff, and we get confused, but we don't care. But we do our best to basically break down the anime episode that week, and we have a lot of fun doing it. So give us a try.
Yeah, and you can also find Leo and myself over at Anime Radicals, which we'll be plugging quite a lot on this cast, because, full disclosure, if you want the in-depth E3 analysis and opinions and a slew of games that are coming out, and the new Xbox Scarlet talk, then head over to Anime Radicals. That's on iTunes, Stitcher, Smart Radio, and a slew of other places, including SoundCloud. And you will get the full conversation over an hour long, and I hope you enjoy. But let's get into what we took away from E3 the most. Leo, what were your top games and top takeaway from E3? Because it was a down year, seems with a lot of things.
Okay, top games. Anticipation-wise, surprise-wise, what do you want?
Anything you want, man.
No, I'll do one of 3. Okay, so I was surprised the most probably by Watch Dogs Legion. That one surprised me the most. It was just interesting. I thought the permadeath was really cool. So when your guys dies, they die, and also that you can recruit anybody to your cause, even the little. I mean, I said this in the Radicals, but I'll say it again because it's awesome. But you can recruit the guy at the hot dog stand if you want. Maybe he was a ex-CIA agent for all you know. And then you get to use his skill set. So I thought that was cool. That was the biggest surprise. Ooh, as anticipation goes, one that this one wasn't really presented. It just got a new trailer, and that was Borderlands 3. But that's my biggest anticipation for this whole year, regardless, because it's freaking awesome. And then just looking forward to is probably the new Halo game. Always been a big Halo fan, and just can't wait for it. And unlike JD's opinion, I think Xbox killed it this year with their conference. They announced Scarlet. They have a new Elite controller that apparently they're convincing me to buy. The Game Pass Ultimate is the biggest steal I have seen in a long time. I mean, I think they did awesome. They presented a bunch of cool games. And their press conference was the one that Keanu Reeves showed up at. So, hell yeah. Kudos to them. What about you, JD? Same thing.
Cyberpunk 2077 was a huge takeaway from E3 this year for me. Yeah, we've seen it before, but we got more gameplay. Everyone's coming out of their own little backstage hour of gameplay. You have told me that there's the first hour of game available to go check out, but I think at this point I'm just going to make it all a surprise for myself.
Yeah, they just said it's early in the game. And it is, I'm looking at my history to try to figure out how long it was, because it was really long. It's 48 minutes of gameplay reveal, and it's looked really, really nice.
Yeah, that's definitely a standout game for me. I think from a disappointing standpoint, one of my favorite studios, Ninja Theory, they're making a hero shooter instead of their usual bridging the gap between AAA and indie single-player story experiences. Now they're going towards the Microsoft design of what they want out of them. which is a real big disappointment for me. To me, that would be a studio worthy of making me interested in buying like an Xbox, or at least getting more involved with Game Pass. As you said, it is a steal for the consumer. So that's a negative on me. Luigi's Mansion 3. I'm quite excited for, as well as Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Nintendo really stole my heart this year with what they're putting out. They're bringing back, whether it's an old game with a new set of paint on it, or bringing back IPs we haven't seen in a generation or two. So that's where Luigi's Mansion 3 really comes into play with me. And announcing a Breath of the Wild sequel, I think a lot of people are going to be very excited for that.
Besides themselves, yes. I mean, that comes out with every Zelda announcement. Back to Cyberpunk 2077. That video was published August 27th, 2018.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah, I skipped watching that.
Yeah. So it's been out for quite a while, but that just goes...
I was under the impression it was a new video.
Nah, I didn't even know. It was just the first one I found. But and that just tells me, man, if it looked this good almost a year ago, it's got to be, better now. So kudos to them.
It should be.
Yeah.
And then the blowaway was definitely the Final Fantasy VII Remake with an official launch date of March 2020. So it's right up there in the release time of Watch Dogs Legion, Cyberpunk 2077, and a slew of other titles. That really made me happy to see. With the new models, the interesting action style gameplay with the slowdown mode seems really unique and interesting to me for an action oriented battle.
Which seems very controversial for some reason, and I'm fine with it too. So I don't, whatever.
Yeah, and then a slew of other games that we talked about on the Anime Radicals podcast. So if you want more E3 stuff, definitely go and check that out. But there were some omissions from games that I think were coming out recently that wasn't able to see a whole lot of. Definitely the mark of Sony not being there was very noticeable for me, since I'm such a big Sony fan. So I wasn't able to see what became of Medieval. Wasn't able to see anything from even Square about the game Control.
That was a weird one. That's super weird.
Yeah. And Concrete Genie, which was another one on my list, still no release date on that. And then Dreams is going through still this questionable alpha or beta release instead of being full-on PSVR. So from a PSVR perspective, a lot of that was kind of disappointing. They did have a separate little thing at E3 involving PSVR that I was told happened, but I haven't been able to find it.
Okay.
There was this weird...
That's how obscure it was, I guess.
Yeah, there was this weird phantom Sony E3 going along where anything that was announced or released, there was booths being like, oh yeah, PlayStation. So. And then Animal Crossing was delayed. To everyone's disappointment.
I've never played it.
It's okay. Animal Crossing is a very chill experience. It's worth checking out. It's not a game for everybody, but if you want a fantasy power trip, as Jim Sterling would say, it's definitely a game to check out. So that was E3 this year. It wasn't. How do you feel? What's the big positive coming out of the Xbox Scarlet, and the big negative that you're worried about?
Ooh, the positive is obviously it's going to be more powerful, but I think
as it should be.
Yeah, the big thing that stuck out to me is that they specifically said they know we really want our good high frame rates. Everything looks good enough as it is now. Nobody's complaining. It's just those frame rates, especially if you play shooters. And they were saying, I think they were kind of aiming for 120 frames per second at 1080. And say you wanted to play at 4K, well, that's at 60 frames per second. And that's awesome because that's a big step up. That's the biggest positive. The biggest negative with the Scarlet would be that there is only one launch title, and that's Halo Infinite. And to me, that's just not something I'm not going to be buying day one, for sure, until a couple more games come out.
Okay.
Yeah, those would be.
Do
the
they
two
have to be
things.
exclusives, or can they be third party like a Cyberpunk?
No, they could be third party. It would still be fine because I'm still gonna want to play. I'm still gonna stick with Microsoft. I'm still gonna stick with Xbox. It's just my go-to, really.
Okay.
So,
fair enough. All right. Yeah. From all the features that I saw revealed at E3 this year, the very strange added pixel retro style for Dragon Quest XI S that's coming out. It's Dragon Quest XI. Like, I played Dragon Quest XI, PS4, and I wasn't too into it. And I think that has a lot to do with the character models and how plain they are and overly... I am an anime fan, but it seemed like too plain anime, if you know what I mean by that. Okay,
wait, say that again?
Too plain anime. So they're characters with very minimal features.
Okay.
It looks like not a lot of effort was put into the character designs, right?
Like Grandchild of the Wise Man. That's
sure.
Right now, that's what, if I had to make a comparison, that would be the first thing that came to mind. There's really not too much uniqueness to each individual. So okay.
So with this new, you can play the whole game in this pixel retro style, and they have to create old school sprites, just like the old Dragon Quest games that I love. That immediately made me go, "Oh my god, I might like this game more now."
No, that's just a really cool feature, really.
Yeah, it's very unique too, and it almost makes you want to buy, like, even if you have Dragon Quest XI already, if you have a Switch and you want an RPG, then that might be right up your alley, Because Xenoblade didn't really get my RPG fix on, right? Xenoblade Chronicles X or whatever it was. I don't even remember what that title was. It didn't give me my fix, and I played the whole game. Shame on me. How do you feel about the Final Fantasy VII remake coming to possibly multiple discs?
Yeah, so right now it's only for PS4, but for whatever reason there's speculation that it could come to their systems, and I think that's awesome. I really don't like exclusive stuff.
Well, it's Square. Final Fantasy 15 came out on multiple systems. I expect at worst for Xbox and PC owners that'll be it'll be like a 6 months to a year delayed release.
So,
which is not
Final Fantasy VII was strictly PlayStation, but
at the time,
yeah, the new Final Fantasy stuff that came out on Xbox too, right?
Yes, 15 did.
So there is that shows that Sony doesn't have like the stranglehold on it they might have had before. So yeah, I think there's a decent. I think if it does really, really well, which it most likely will, they will then expand it to Xbox, and a lot of people will play it. Also, and
I'm not too worried about that.
I'm actually more interested in the statistic of brand new people who've never played the original who are going to pick it up. I'd be really interested to see that it is, because I think, man, I'd throw a high number out there, like 90-85% of the people who played the old one will play the new one, the remake. So
I would agree with that, but I think with the average age of a gamer, and the average age of new gamers, I think it could be a 50-50 split. And I don't have statistics that could prove that otherwise. The average gamer is 16 to 30, right?
Oh, it is? Yes. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the average gamer is about 16 to 30.
Mike, the crew I run with is old then.
Well, we're strange. I mean, I'm over that 30 gap now, so. But if you're in the age group that's 30 plus, then yeah, you grew up with Final Fantasy VII in its heyday, right?
Oh yeah.
And if you came in the generation after that, odds are you never played Final Fantasy VII. And that could be a massive chunk of the current gaming audience. My worry about that audience is, do they want these long RPG experiences? Would they be interested in it?
I will say yes, because the last God of War did really good, and it was pretty long. Not Final Fantasy VII long, but I felt like it was long enough. So I think it would do fine. I don't think it's going to turn too many people off. Really, I've actually been bummed because sometimes I find that like a storyline is not that long anymore. You know, like I love Destiny, but I felt like the main story was like done and over with before I knew it. I'm like, what? Now I'm just doing in-game content? This sucks.
Yeah, if you're going to invest X amount of hours into a game, you kind of want the story to go along with that. I understand.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else from E3 takeaway, or shall we point everyone towards Anime Radicals and move on to the games of May?
Go back to Anime Radicals because that's where we really go in depth, and that's where the good E3 content's going to be. But yeah, let's move on.
Hey dude, you into anime, manga, and all that radical stuff? Then you should totally check out the Anime Radicals Network at www.animeradicals.com. If you want discussions, debates, reviews, and all in between, we also got timely reviews, revolutions, mecha, and much more. Find it on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all podcast catchers. The Anime Radicals Network. The revolution will be simulcast.
Hey, have you ever watched an episode of anime and been confused about what the hell happened?
Honestly, that sounds like every anime I have ever watched.
Well, guess what? At the Nerdom and Other Nonsense anime podcast, we have a patented process for deciphering the current hit anime week to week, so even you can understand it.
That's right. We climb into an anime's cockpit, attach handles to its ass, insert ourselves doggy style, and gently explore its inner workings until completion.
Well, guys, this ad just got really weird, so...
There's plenty more innuendo where that came from on iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube at Nerdom and Other Nonsense. Come check us out.
You know you want to, darling.
All right, so... games that came out in May of 2019. It is June. June has passed. That means we, here at the Red Leaf Retrocast Modern Game Edition, we talk about the previous month's releases. We've had our chance to play all the games. Well, Leo, you're here to perhaps follow up questions and anything that sticks out to you.
Yeah, I've been kind of researching through this list you have, and pretty much all I'm coming up with is jokes at the moment, so...
That's perfectly fine. So got a couple PSVR games, got a couple indie titles, and a couple major releases. So we'll start out with a heavy hitter first, and that's Rage 2. So Rage 2 is published by Bethesda, developed by Avalanche Studios. Avalanche Studios has a history with the Just Cause series.
How good did Rage 1 do? I know my
Rage 1 was not a success.
Okay, I know my younger brother played it, but I didn't think it did too well.
No, it was not critically acclaimed. It didn't sell very well, and it had average reviews. To be,
it had that crazy bullet time stuff too, didn't it?
It took a lot of Max Payne elements from it. So, okay. What is Rage 2? Rage 2 is a first-person shooter game with conjunction with id Software. So that explains the high-end, high-octane combat in the game. Leo, you're very familiar with the new Doom that came out, and you're excited for Doom Eternal coming out, correct?
Oh, yes. This looks so good.
Yeah. So Rage 2 has this big neon kind of early 90s paint art style to it, with this Mad Max element of open world with Doom gameplay. So on paper, does this appeal to you?
Yes, I would say so. And I've even seen the trailer and it looked like a lot of fun, but I never played the first one because I didn't think it had the one big thing that would pull me towards it. So unfortunately in Rage 2, the combat is really good. It's really fun. It's just like Doom. Everything hits hard. It's very fast-paced. There's a cool little overdrive mode that you can activate. That's that kind of Max Payne slowdown thing where you just go... Yeah,
I
think that was supposed to be the hook in the first one, right? Because they could do crazy bullet time stuff and have crazy effects. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you can weave in and around the bullets. The issue with Rage 2 is, 1, its story, and 2, its open world. So the story is very short. It runs 6 to 9 hours, depending on how fast you go through it. So it's a really short experience. So that's strike one with a lot of people.
That's strike one, because if I had to say there's a game that's related to it, that'd be like Borderlands, and Borderlands has a huge stories. Their DLCs are even huge too.
Yeah.
So man, yeah, that is a hit against me, because does that game have a multiplayer?
It might. I didn't look into it. I don't think so. I think it's single player. I'm pretty sure it's single player only.
Okay, see, I'm not a big PvP fan. I'm really more PvE. So telling me it's only 8 or 9 hours of a storyline, that's not worth $60 for me. So like,
And then the other issue is the open world gameplay. And what this entails is a very empty, nothing to do world. You're just going from point A to point B, and that also attributes to how short the story is. So your 6 to 9 hours essentially is going through this wasteland with various vehicles. You come across a group of bandits. You beat the bandits with the cool gunplay and combat, and you move on through the open world yet again, empty, just to progress the story. So the in between, which is very important to me as a gamer, Leo, is the in between. If you don't have engaging in between, then you're essentially not playing the game. You're just going through the motions.
That's sad.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Rage 2 with good combat, that's all it's got going for it. Unfortunately. I do like the colors, though. I like the whole vibrant color.
Yeah, according to this article I'm reading, it looks like they have weekly content updates, and then they're also going to have larger expansions. So that's kind of neat, but still, why would you play it in the first place? Maybe I need 3 expansions to come out so I have 18 hours of a storyline to play, you know?
Not really acceptable, though, when you already pumped $60 into it and you're kind of done with it.
Yeah, like, no, I'm hoping to catch it on a deal where you get it all for $60 then at that point.
Yeah.
You know how they do. Okay. Huh.
So that's Rage 2. I don't recommend it. It's probably not going to make any top 10 game of the year list for me.
I haven't heard anybody recommend it. So
no. Yeah. So just like Avalanche coming out with Just Cause 4 in late 2018, where it was just very bland, not much else to it, no innovation. Rage 2 is kind of that same realm of unfortunate. And then speaking of unfortunate is the second game, and that's Team Sonic Racing.
You mean Sonic Kart?
Yes, Sonic Kart.
I will say that at least the vehicles look cooler, but that's all I can say about this game.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Sonic and All-Star Racing Transformed. I have it for the Wii U. My big negative with that is if you want to do 2-player, one person gets the Wii U pad, and the other person gets the TV. I was like, why? Why can't we just have split screen? Anyways.
That is interesting choice. Well, they don't want to utilize, the little handheld screen, so. But still, you think they could make that an option?
Right. But that was my kind of big criticism of Sonic and All-Star Racing Transform. That came out in 2012, so 7 years later, they finally developed a new Sonic racing game. And it's Team Sonic Racing. It's, you get to choose one of 15 characters from Sonic, so no longer Sega itself based, this is only Sonic based. So I think that was strike one in my book immediately. Because they're breaking away, they only want all the Sonic characters. I'm like, well, you add like, you could easily have a story mode where you can unlock all the other Sega characters, right? Give you incentive to keep playing.
Yeah, it'd be too much like Mario Kart.
Well, I mean, it's kart racing. That's what Mario Kart started, right?
Right.
There is a story campaign to it, but it's basically the tutorial only. So really disappointing again. So they can't even do a story in it.
You're making it sound like May sucked.
Well, it got off to a bad start. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The gimmick of this is the whole team aspect. So you get teams of 3, right? And you collect points in the game. So if you get first, you get a lot of points. If you hit people with the most weapons, you get some points there. And you...
Okay, that's a little different. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a neat aspect, right? And that's the whole gimmick to it. They want you to play this team mode. rather than like a single player race mode. But it's so focused on the team mode that they didn't really get it right, because upon completion of the races, you're still just competing for first in the end, and how many of your teammates get up the board. So if you place first and your other two teammates are in the bottom two, right, you're probably not gonna win the race.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
So you said hitting people with your weapons. So do you have multiple items you can like use and throw at people, or like the turtle shell or the banana peel, or there things like that?
You do have them. However, there's a big flaw with that. So you have offensive and defensive weapons, and they're all in the form of question marks and wisps, which is a callback to another Sonic game. But you don't really know what your weapon is, or what weapon you're gonna get at any point in time. So you can't... You just, I got a defensive weapon. Well, use it, done. I got a...
But you don't know
weapon.
what defensive weapon it is until you activate it.
Right.
What? How do you know how to use it then?
Exactly. You just do it. So
Okay.
So the combat part of a kart racer is big strike two. It was just not fun. It was very uninteresting. All the weapons were very unimaginative, where it was just a shield, a rocket, nothing. Right? And Sonic All-Star Racers Transformed, the past games did all this pretty well. So what happened here, I'm just scratching my head at.
Same people working on it?
Yes, Sumo Digital. They worked on the two past games. So I'm really wondering, like, what went wrong here? Let's see. You can customize racing rules. You know, it's got all the other things that a kart racer has, but from what this game entails, it's not worth your time. You're better off, like, if you still have a Wii, just play the other two. You know?
Damn.
Yeah. There's a Grand Prix mode. Okay, there is one really annoying part of the game. Like, let's say you do enjoy all of that I just said. You enjoy the team aspect. You find the positive in the weaponry, and the course levels are I find them very simplistic. I don't find them very interesting. There are 20 tracks.
That's pretty good though.
It's a pretty decent amount. Yeah. It's pretty good. When you complete each race, the whole point system that keeps entailing, there's voting. So if you're playing with friends, or if you want to play online, everyone votes, including the computer, by the way, of like who did the best.
Wait, isn't it like already doing that though? By the point system?
But it's not like an automatic thing. Like, people vote on your points. It's like, this person accumulated this many points from hitting people with rockets, but he placed third. And so you're like, well, I guess I'll vote for the other guy.
Huh.
And it takes so long. It's like 3 to 5 minutes just after each race, and you can't skip it.
Oh, that's unacceptable, dude.
Yeah. It's the most annoying aspect of the game, and it's unacceptable. It's awful.
I couldn't imagine. I feel bad about load times. I can imagine sitting there for 3 to 5 minutes while people fucking voted after a match. You know, once you get out of a match, you want to get into the next one as quickly as possible, right?
Right.
So, jeez.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of incentive to keep playing it either. You get customization options, but it's very... They call them mod pods. It's very bland. You know, this whole cosmetic thing that I have an issue with, where, microtransactions are cosmetic only, but okay, you're paying for like 3 shades of blue, or a t-shirt that has nothing on it, right? It's just palette swaps, basically. Well, in this, it's not microtransactions, but you use in-game currency to buy all these things, but they're just like, you can upgrade Sonic's car to have more handling and boost and acceleration. Well, he's already the fastest, so it hardly matters. You want to use all that for Tails, but Tails is so slow in general, even after you upgrade his boost and acceleration. It just takes so long to do it all, and it's like, why wouldn't I just be Sonic all the time?
Man, this sounds like a good example of like what not to do in a video game.
Yeah, do not play this game online, because that whole voting system at the end... is unbearable. So,
Well,
that's Sonic Racing. I am incredibly disappointed in this game, to say the least.
right. Considering it sounded like you enjoyed the past 2 games.
I enjoyed the past 2 games as well, yeah. Now on to games I did enjoy for the month of May. Number 1's an indie game. It's called Shakedown Hawaii. Now, have you heard of Retro City Rampage?
No, but I am doing a Google image search of Shakedown Hawaii. It looks kind of fun. Explain it to me, though.
So Shakedown Hawaii is it's kind of in this like Grand Theft Auto game layout, but it's in Super Nintendo kind of pixel graphics, right? And you're an old man who's essentially he wrote a book in like the 80s that said make a company rich and run it by yourself. It runs itself, right? Well, now his company is going down the tubes because of things like Amazon and
Oh god.
like all of his brick and mortar stores are going down because of online shopping and all the things of today's age that are killing kind of a lot of industries. So he's all pissed off. His company's going down the tubes. It's running out of money, and he has to find all these get rich quick schemes. And all your missions entail like buying predatory car loan services. Scamming people with nothing but advertisements on TV, but not actually selling everything, so you're just making the ad money.
Wow.
You wanna stop Amazon from delivering into the areas where your stores are, so you go around getting the Amazon trucks and you're like shooting them or stealing them and putting them in the water. It's really funny.
The cover art's kind of funny because it shows him with a bazooka pointing it to like some businessman's head.
Yeah. The game is incredibly addictive. It's only about $20, and it's super fun. I played this with one of my friends for like an hour. We were just laughing the whole time. You get money from just beating people on the street. So again, it's like if Grand Theft Auto was humorous and on the Super Nintendo. That's what Shakedown Hawaii is. It's really quite comically fun.
This is exactly what it looks like just looking at a Google image search. Looks like a flamethrower is pretty popular.
Yeah, there's a slew of weapons. You can drive all these cars around. It has really goofy mechanics to how you control the players in cars, where a car can just do a complete 360 on a dime. You just press a button and it turns around.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that's Shakedown Hawaii. I recommend it. It's a really goofy game. If you're into kind of the old retro pixel style games that are going around these days, then definitely check this out. And the criticism with Retro City Rampage was it was too like into itself. They fixed that, I think, in the humor with Shakedown Hawaii, where it's very meta, but not overly cringy to the point. It's just making fun of today's world and kind of the scum ways people make money these days and turning it into comedy.
Oh, not to mention the real world problems of Amazon and Walmart and everybody like that killing brick and mortar stores and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's pretty interesting. Huh. Okay.
Yep. So the fourth game is something I was very excited for. I'm very happy to say Blood and Truth on PSVR. Leo, how do you feel about action movies?
They're awesome. I watched John Wick 3 just a couple weeks ago. It was amazing.
How do you feel about James Bond type movies?
Seen most of them.
Okay, so
actually, my mother's maiden name is Bond, so truthfully, I am a Bond in a way.
Oh. So, Blood and Truth is made by London Studios, and when PSVR first came out, there was a disc called PlayStation Worlds, and there was a slew of VR mini games on it, and one of them was called the London Heist, and it was one of the more one of the games that people were into the most. And what that entailed was you're like a gangster and you're, there was a car chase and you're sticking your head out the window and firing a gun off and doing all kinds of things like that. So London Studio saw the good reception for it and they decided to make kind of a whole game like that, where it's just you're in this, it feels like you're in this action movie. So what is Blood and Truth? You are an ex-military guy. The game starts out and you're dropped in the middle of desert warfare. And you have to save one of your mates that's been captured in this desert bunker. So you're going around just going bang, 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 right? Like an old light gun game from the arcades.
Okay.
And it goes on a linear path while you do it. So you press a button and it'll there's a lot of branching paths at the same time, left, right, up or down, of where you can go on each level and stage. So it gives it a good little replay value.
I was going to say, so like you can replay this and then just take a different route and it'd be different. Okay.
Yeah, and as I found out, these different routes also have different guns. So like if you go up and to the left, you'll find a sniper rifle. If you go down and to the right, you'll get a shotgun. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that would make it really fun to replay. Just, because the experience completely changes, because instead of a shotgun, your sniper, you're going to play it completely differently. Okay.
Yeah. So you get back from the war and you find out that this guy's family is, they're in some shady business. Whether it's, to me, it came across as they're head of a big mercenary group, right? And they have a front like it's a real business. And then, so you're with your family. The character's dad had died via a heart attack, so the rest of the family's there. And while they're at the funeral, this dude jumps in. His name is Tony Sharp.
Tony Sharp.
Yeah, his name's Tony Sharp, and he has this crazed woman with him and this whole slew of like military-grade goons, and they just take over. You do escape that, and the whole game from there goes along with you want revenge on Tony for messing up the funeral and wanting to take over the business, and then, of course, Tony gets mad, so then he kills a member of your family, kind of deal. And then you want revenge for him, so it's that back-and-forth situation.
All right. Sounds like typical mafia shit, really.
Yeah, except these guys run like mercenary groups instead. And in the in-between is your main character has been caught by this like CIA operative director, and he's talking to you, trying to like put the pieces together. So he's telling a backstory to it all, and then eventually you get to the point in the game where the CIA operative joins you on the mission to get Tony Sharp. So you're going through different buildings and areas, playing essentially a VR version of a light gun game, taking the place of an action movie oriented story. It's really fun. It got good reviews. It's in the 80s out of 100. It's one of the best VR game experiences I've had to date.
I haven't got the chance to play VR yet, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, if there's one thing I try to do on this cast, is because I have a VR, I try to find like one VR game every now and again, or something that comes out that's worth talking about.
Did you get to play the last Resident Evil?
Oh, Resident Evil 7 on PSVR? Played the whole thing. It scared the shit out of me. I had nightmares for months.
Fantastic. Because I played it just on my TV, and it fucked with me. I was like, man, I don't know if I could do this in VR.
Yeah, it was an experience. I was not a happy person.
Wow. That sounds great.
So if you have a PSVR and you're looking for a game, in the holiday season I talked about a slew of them, whether it was Astrobot or Beat Saber or Tetris Effect. There's finally another game since all the way back in November last year that has come out called Blood and Truth. And there's another VR game that came out that I can't wait to talk about. But first, I'm going to talk about A Plague Tale. Tale of Innocence. Okay,
this one I did remember seeing some stuff about, but I felt like it kind of fell away quickly.
This game has flown way under the radar.
Okay.
Like, it came out, people went, oh, that looks cool, and then they immediately forgot about it. There was literally two copies in the state of Rhode Island.
What?
Yeah, there was literally 2 copies in the entire state upon release. I waited for the reviews to come out. I went the very day after the reviews came out, and they were good. I was like, this game looks very interesting. I'm getting it. It only came out at a $40 price tag, so it was very affordable.
Okay, that was my next question. How much is this game? 40? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it looks like you can play it on PS4 and Xbox?
You can play it on anything, yep.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there was 1 Xbox copy and 1 PS4 copy. Because nobody pre-ordered the game. Nobody knew it was coming out. All of a sudden, it gets good reviews.
I had never heard anything about it until they were like, oh, this game's playable. And I was like, oh, what is it?
So, A Plague Tale: Tale of Innocence takes place in France during the Black Plague. We don't get a lot of games that take place in that time frame.
I honestly can't think of anyone at the moment.
Exactly. Huh. So, we are a teenage girl, French, which is funny because a lot of people in this game have British accents, even though they're in France.
That would be weird.
Yeah, it does make sense that the Pope in the game is Italian, and he has an Italian accent, but everyone's speaking English the whole time. I just thought the language thing was kind of funny.
As somebody who I play games with some British people quite often, I would pick up on that really easily.
This is a narrative-based adventure game. So it's not focused on, let's say, action gameplay, but it's focused on playing out the story in a narrative manner. So you go from point A to point B, and it's generally stealth-oriented with a little bit of like using a slingshot. That's what the main girl has. It does teach you right away how you're going to use the slingshot, and over the course of the game, you get little upgrades to the slingshot, whether it's you have fireballs or rocks or etc. You get the idea.
Yeah, they're saying it's an action-adventure stealth game.
There's a lot more stealth in it than action. But
again, you are like Metal Gear Solid stealth or what?
No, not really. The both the stealth and action are very straightforward to it all. You won't really run into any difficult situations or issues. The puzzles are simplistic enough where you just get them right away and you go do it. You're just playing out the story, and the story is the story starts out very interesting. So,
okay, I was gonna say, how is it? Does it play out very well?
I completed this entire. I only completed 2 games in May from this list, and that's Blood and Truth and A Plague Tale. I haven't completed the last game we're going to talk about, and I'm still working my way through Shakedown Hawaii.
Okay, and it looks pretty good too. How good are the visuals?
So visually, it's 50-50 with me. When it gets the medieval aspect of it very well, it nails it. It still comes across as like a PS3 type game to me. So if you're a stickler for high end visuals, this is not the game. It's not made by a AAA company, so take that for what it's worth. But for what it does, you are immersed in this dark and dreary world. The game starts out with you're going through a forest with your dad, and he teaches you to use the slingshot. Your dog's following you. He's like a Great Dane or a Hound or something, whatever he might be. And
a Great Dane and a Hound are 2 very distinctly different dogs.
Look, I'm not a dog person. It's a dog. All right, it's a big dog. Let's call it a Hound. All right.
It's probably a Great Dane if it's a big dog.
It's not Scooby-Doo size or anything, okay?
Okay, I'm Googling it right now. He's not a big dog. He's like he's a mid-size hound type.
All right.
Maybe slightly raccoon. Who knows?
The daughter and father are bantering to each other, and then all of a sudden you come across, I think it's a deer or a warthog, or one of the 2. It's been a while.
Yeah, those are also 2 very distinctly different
you come
animals.
across an animal, and the father's like, okay, use your slingshot to nail it in the head and kill it for dinner. We're going to feast tonight. Well, you spook it, you miss. It runs off. The dog chases after it. Then all of a sudden, you hear a, like the dog got hurt. And you're like, oh no, the warthog got him. And the girl runs off after it, and she sees the warthog has been stripped to the bone. All you see is the carcass left, and she goes, what the fuck caused that? Then she goes like 10 feet forward, and she sees the dog kind of halfway in a hole, bleeding out. And you're like, no, puppy!
Yeah, you do Google image search of a plague tail dog, and it's the dog dying. You're just like, shit.
Yeah, so the father comes and he goes, he's gonna put it down. He's like, let's put it out of its misery. We can't save it. And she's like, no! Pongo, or whatever the fuck its name was.
I think it's Lion?
Yes, it was Lion. Look at that. You got my back. You got my back on this.
Yeah, and it is a... Well, this is a picture of a pig. This warthog does not have tusks, but whatever that's about. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, just before the father is like going to make this decision to just put it out of its misery, all of a sudden you hear this rumbling from the ground. You see blood fly up from the hole, and the dog get pulled down. And you're like, oh my god, what was that?
And this is the intro to the fucking
This is
game.
the intro, like giving you the setting of it all. And the father has my favorite line in the game almost. It's like top 5 up there. And he goes, what witchcraft is this? What sorcery? Get back to the house. We're closing down the forest.
Closing down the forest. How do you do that?
Just say, don't go in the woods. So they get back to the house, and now you get the second part. So now you know that the world is dangerous, right? And the second part is, because it's narrative-based, if your narrative isn't interesting, then you're not going to be into the game, right? So Blood and Truth was all about gameplay with the action. You're playing a light gun game. It's fucking awesome. Shakedown Hawaii was comical in the retro style. Plague Tale is narrative. So the story continues. You're back in the house. The mother doesn't believe you. You go up to the mother. You find out the brother is kind of in this quarantine. He gets sick a lot, and the mother's trying to come up with all these herbs and stuff to cure him. Everybody in this little they're the lord of the land, right? This little area. They're the lords. So everyone loves them. You know, you're just like, oh, the baker. Oh yeah, go see your mother. She's very nice. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, small quaint town. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah. Everybody knows everybody. They all respect the lords. They love them unconventionally. Unconventionally? No. Anyways.
Unconventional. I don't know. Okay,
whatever I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Unconditionally. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. It happened. It came to me. So you eventually go up in the mother, and you're just like, something happened in the forest. Leon got fucked, right? And she's like, yeah, whatever. Stop with your childish daydreams. I gotta go tend to your brother. He's only like 6 or something. He's really young. Okay. I might be even being generous with that age. You know, it could be younger.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the freaking Inquisition comes in, right? And the father's out there, and they're looking for the brother. And
Interesting.
He's like, not here, go fuck yourself. And the main Inquisition dude fucking stabs him and kills him. Right in the eyes of the mother and daughter. Like, they're up in the upper part of the house, but they can see outside in the courtyard. They just watch their father get stabbed, and then everybody else in the Inquisition proceeds to start stabbing all the work. So the mother says, okay, we have to escape. Go get your brother, and we're gonna escape from here. So she bolts to do her own thing. So then you go find your brother, and he's just in this big quarantine house, like room of the house. And you see all the potions and everything. And if you remember from old history that if you're a woman and you know science, it's witchcraft. It's considered witchcraft.
But yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what the Inquisition sees her as, right? So you're going through this stealth mode of the house, like trying not to have the Inquisition spot you, but in the meanwhile, in like whether it's the corner of your eyes or shadows or physically seeing someone get piked right in front of you, like the baker that you saw that was so nice, you'd like, go bring up the cookies to your mother. You just stabbed in the chest, on the ground, right in front of you. And supposedly you see the mother get stabbed through the doorway as she like kicks you out in one last ditch effort, and she's like, "Go see the doctor out in the countryside."
I will say it's predictable that the mother was going to die also.
Yeah. So your whole family, everyone in your little village is now dead. All you have to go on is to go find this doctor that treats the brother. He helps, and he lives out there. Well, the Inquisition sees you, and they're chasing after you in the forest. And in the corners, you start seeing those black holes that got the dog just pop up from the ground and start taking Inquisition soldiers left and right.
Interesting. I kind of like how there's like this supernatural / magic concept with the Black Plague. I think that's really cool.
It's really interesting, this spin on how they do the Black Plague. So the what you end up discovering is rats, as we know, caused the Black Plague. It was a big cause behind it, right? And the lack of penicillin.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. So it hints really early that somehow the brother is tied to the rats. He gets these headaches and he starts hearing things. Well, the family has this blood tie to them where they can control the rats for some reason. And the rats give you what they call the bite, the Black Plague, right? So if you control the rats, you control disease and pestilence throughout the world. So in this time frame, you could control the world essentially. And as it turns out, the Inquisition / this one member of the church, he's not the Pope, but he's like the Archbishop. He wants the kid so he can like infuse his blood into his own, and
then get the same
get the rat power.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're actually kind of selling me on this game. I really want to check it out. If there's ever going to be a downtime in gaming again, goddamn.
Well, it's not the longest game in the world. I believe I beat it in just a couple days, just a couple sessions.
So about how many hours? More than Rage 2?
We're about to find out. I'm going to look it up.
Because, it's a $20 difference, that's considerably better. So,
Plague Tale and Rage 2 are about, let's see, Plague Tale will run about 11 hours. Rage 2 runs anywhere from 8 to 10.
Oh, wow. It already beats it and it's cheaper? Come on.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, you meet a couple people on the journey. I will say I really enjoyed the slingshot mechanic where eventually you do get, it plays into the story well where the girl like wants to become a badass, so you can choose to be a badass or go full stealth. Well, there's a whole sequence of the where you've been captured and you escape, and you get your slingshot back, and you can just start murdering people in the head with your rock slingshot. And she's saying lines like, "Yeah, you deserve it." I'm like, "Yes, okay." Let's keep going.
That's brutal.
Or she goes, "I'm showing no mercy anymore," kind of deal. And the kid acts like a kid. He's 4, 5, 6 years old. He's like, "Where's mommy?" And the teenager
in
girl,
his so French accent,
right? Yeah, he says "mummy." Yeah, he's very British. The girl's French. She has a hard French accent. Well, the English take, anyways. And she's trying to hide it from him. He's like, "Nah, we'll see her later. Whatever." Then they have a fight, and like, "Your mother's dead. It's all your fault." It's like, Jesus, and he runs away screaming, like, "I hate you!" And you're like, "Yeah, that's how a 5-year-old would react." You lied to me kind of situation. You can easily manipulate his mentality. So the whole rat aspect of it, of them chasing you around and trying to keep them away, or solving the puzzles of keeping them away. The rats are your big enemy, and then stealth elements of the Inquisition. It all molds very nice. It's a lot. It's one of the better narrative experiences I've had in gaming. It's definitely up there with 2019. That's for sure, of just gaming in general.
And you're making it sound like it's definitely it's very under the radar. And unfortunately, people are missing it. So
it's extremely under the radar. I hope you're not going to get the full experience with a Let's Play or watching someone do it on Twitch, but you will at least play along with the story because it's narrative based. You won't be missing out on, everything. So there you go.
Yeah, like I said, I think I may end up checking this out. Hopefully within a couple years. And I don't forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then the last one is very simple. It's Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted PSVR. It's also on Vive, and I believe it came out on Oculus as well. It's a conglomeration of all the Five Nights at Freddy's games. 1, 2, 3, and 5. They made 4 into a dark. It's called Dark Room or something. I'm trying to remember. But it's all those games in VR now, and it's the most stressful time I've had in a long time. Because you're just flipping through the camera. If you're not familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's, these animatronic murder machines from a makeshift
AKA Chuck E. Cheese's.
Chuck E. Cheese's, thank you. Jesus, why did that name blank out of me? Chuck E. Cheese animatronics that murder you, and you're like a security guard that's just trying to keep the watch at night, but you have to last till 6 a.m. You start at midnight to 6 a.m. I think it was midnight.
So I've seen videos of it. I don't understand they're just looking at monitor screens and they're switching back and forth, and I don't understand what they're doing to survive.
So the trick is for each animatronic, whether it's the bird or the bear or whatever, you can they each have their own personality. So if you say that the bird character, you catch it on the camera. As it moves, you can flip it between 2 rooms, because as long as you are looking at the camera and the camera's looking at them, they will stick between those 2 rooms. So that can prevent them from getting closer to you. While some other characters, you just have to watch for certain trigger elements, like the fox running down the hallway. Once you recognize that this is the moment where that trigger's flipped for it to run down the hallway, then you can slam the door closed. And you have a certain amount of power, so you can't just keep the doors closed the whole time, kind of situation.
Okay.
Yeah, and that element kind of transfers over to the other games. The third one is probably the most douchebaggery of them all.
Nice.
Where you're kind of having to reboot computers, and Freddy has a ghost power. All of a sudden, it just screams at you the whole time. I really hated that in the third game. What this one adds is fun little mini games. Actually, my favorite mode in this Help Wanted Five Nights at Freddy's is you're kind of the repair guy. So you're repairing all of the deadly animatronics, and if you mess up the repair sequence it's almost like VR operation. It's please remove the battery from this. It was the wrong battery that was installed before. However, if you touch any of the sides, or perhaps make a mistake, he won't be none too pleased. So you have to be really careful in the VR and
Great.
Slowly take the battery out. If you disobey the instructions at all, it'll jump scare you. The game's just jump scare the whole time. It's a lot of fun. So again, if you have any VR at all, and if you want a fun horror experience with the Five Nights at Freddy's, this is a must-have. And it's only $30, and you get 6 games out of it.
Oh, damn, that's really good. But it's no Resident Evil 7 scary, is it though?
It's a different kind of scary. Resident Evil 7 had the environment to it. Five Nights at Freddy's has the jump scare that you don't you don't want the thing screaming in your face. Yeah,
I've seen plenty of people reaction videos of people freaking out from it. So okay, seems interesting. I'm looking into getting a VR, but like I said, I'm a big PlayStation fan, so I don't know what I want yet. So have you heard anything good about any other VRs?
Well, HTC Vive, that is the best VR out there. You do need to set up a room for it, because you stick the cameras in the corners, and it has the better controllers. And they are coming out with more games for it now. The Oculus is in a lot of trouble, and you need a very high-end computer to run it. Well, Vive as well, but you get the idea where I'm going with that. If you want the most convenient and most affordable, that would be the PSVR.
Hmm.
And I've never had an issue with my PSVR. I have a base PlayStation 4. I don't have the Pro, so the games don't look as good as they could be, but it's still a very immersive experience. I don't regret buying it at all. I have like over 20 PSVR games to date.
Yeah, see, I have a Pro, so I don't know. I kind of looked into it, but I don't know. I just haven't heard enough news about it to really make a decision yet. But this is your
you get into the VR like world, then you start seeing there's YouTube channels that are devoted to VR. There's news sites out there, but you gotta more or less search for them. Like the mainstream stuff seems to not care too much. Fun fact is, Blood and Truth on PSVR was actually the #1 game in the UK for May, which I found fascinating.
The Blood and Truth one?
Yeah.
Huh. That's really interesting. I don't know what to really think about that one.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people want to be action heroes.
I guess.
So that's all the games that came out in May. A little outlook for what's coming out in June. We have Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Kotodama, The Seven Mysteries of Fujisawa. I think that's a mystery game. I have it written down. Judgment, a spin-off of the Yakuza series. Mario Maker 2, My Friend Pedro, a Devolver Digital game, and Persona Q2, a 3DS game.
What's that Mario Maker? What's that supposed to be?
Mario Maker?
Yeah.
It's make your own Mario. Are you not familiar with Mario Maker, Leo?
This is Nintendo. I don't know anything about Nintendo.
Okay. So it's the sequel to the first Mario Maker that came out on Wii U, and it's essentially, they've added a story mode to go along with...
you create your own levels and everything?
Create your own Mario levels. Yep.
Okay. Okay. No, I know what it is. Fuck. I'm dumb. Yeah, that looks really fun. I've never played with it, but I'm pretty sure I would have a fun time with it.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited. I got my pre-order ready. It's a Nintendo game, so you know it's not going to drop $30, $40 after a month or two. And that's it. Leo, thank you so much for listening to me. I really liked coming on the Anime Radicals with you and talking E3. So
yeah.
Everybody, again, if you want the more in-depth details over E3, definitely go check out the Anime Radicals cast that I was doing here with Leo.
Yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed being here. There's that, and I actually learned about one game that I definitely want to check out. So,
well, that is why we do this cast.
Nice, it's a good one.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.